Hello, my name is Dan, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Harvard in the Earth and Planetary Sciences Department. Today, I'm going to bring you on a journey to explore one of science's greatest remaining mysteries. How did life originate on Earth? We will travel back in time to discuss the simplest building blocks for the development of life and examine the progress that scientists have made towards answering this question. Then, I will explain my research, investigating whether space rocks may have contributed to the origin of life on Earth, and how this research may help our search for life on other worlds as well. Let's start our journey in the present by discussing something that all of us have in common. We are all made of organic molecules. In fact, every living organism on the planet is made up of organic molecules, from whales to pandas to frogs. Even trees, plants, and tiny little bacteria are all made up of organic molecules. But what are organic molecules? And where did all these organic molecules originally come from? Well, the first of these questions we can answer pretty simply. Organic molecules are mostly composed of four elements: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. These elements combine together to form the many types of organic molecules that serve various functions in our bodies. For example, amino acids, made up of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen, are essential ingredients for life. This is because amino acids combine together to form our complex proteins. Nowadays, all of our amino acids are either made by our body or obtained from the foods we eat. But then, how did the very first living organisms get amino acids? Where did all these organic molecules originally come from? The answer to this question is much more difficult and remains one of science's biggest remaining challenges. To explore this question, we need to travel back over 4.5 billion years to when the Earth first formed. For reference, humans have existed for only about 200,000 years, and the first dinosaurs came into existence 300 million years ago. We are traveling all the way back 4.5 billion years. Scientific evidence suggests that for the first few hundred million years after Earth's formation, the solar system was still in chaos, and Earth was being constantly bombarded by rocks from outer space, called asteroids. These energetic collisions caused the Earth to heat up. So for the first couple hundred million years, the surface of Earth was more similar to living inside of a volcano. These high temperatures would also cause most organic molecules to burn up. So it is unlikely that many organic molecules were present on the Earth from the very beginning. But if these organic molecules weren't on Earth to begin with, where did they come from? And how did they form? Well, by around 4 billion years ago, the Earth had cooled down enough so that liquid oceans could form over most of its surface, similar to what we see today. Could it be in this less harsh environment that organic molecules originated? In 1952, two scientists named Stanley Miller and Harold Urey created a now famous experiment to investigate this very possibility. They devised an experimental apparatus that simulated the ocean atmosphere environment of Earth using ingredients that would have been present about 4 billion years ago. First, they put liquid water in the apparatus to represent the ocean. Then, in a separate location, they placed gas molecules that were likely present in the atmosphere of the early Earth. To create evaporation, they heated up the liquid ocean, causing some of the water molecules to enter the gas phase and then mix with the atmosphere. And they even included a cooling device to form precipitation, like rain. Finally, they applied an electric discharge to simulate lightning, which also occurred on the early Earth. As the experiment continued for about 1 week, the water began to turn a murky brown color. When they stopped the experiment and analyzed the water, they found all sorts of organic molecules, including amino acids. After this experiment, scientists were really excited. Surely this was the explanation for how the organic molecules essential to life originated on Earth. Many scientists believed that the explanation for how life evolved would now be resolved within the next couple of decades. But the universe is very complicated. And 17 years after the famous Miller-Urey experiment, The universe threw us a curveball that changed everything. That curveball came in the form of a small fragment of an asteroid that crash landed onto Earth's surface in Murchison, Australia. We call these little asteroid fragments that crash into Earth from time to time meteorites, and this one was named the Murchison meteorite, after the town it landed in. Most meteorites don't look that much different from the rocks we have on Earth, like these two different types of meteorites I'm holding here. But meteorites are special because they can inform us about the chemistry happening in outer space. And as it turns out, the Murchison meteorite was extra special because when scientists analyzed it, they found an abundance of organic molecules, including, you guessed it, amino acids. Since this initial discovery in 1969, scientists have identified many other organic molecules in meteorites that we know are essential to life on Earth. This has raised a new possibility to explain how organic molecules originated on Earth. They may have been formed in outer space and then delivered to Earth's surface by meteorites. My research focuses on this new possibility by trying to understand how organic molecules form in space. Let's take a look. One of the most important elements in organic molecules is oxygen, and that is the element that I study in my research. Oxygen comes in 3 different forms, which we call isotopes. The 3 oxygen isotopes have the same number of protons in their nucleus, but a different number of neutrons. Oxygen-16 has 8 protons and 8 neutrons, 8 plus 8, so we call it oxygen-16. Oxygen-17 has 1 extra neutron, so it has a higher mass than oxygen-16. And oxygen-18 has 2 extra neutrons, so it has the highest mass. The difference in mass between each oxygen isotope is important because it allows us to separate and measure each isotope individually using an instrument called an isotope mass spectrometer. Here's a picture of the isotope mass spectrometer in my lab. In my research, I studied the oxygen atoms in organic molecules from meteorites. So I put a sample containing a mixture of oxygen-16, oxygen-17, and oxygen-18 atoms into the mass spectrometer. And then they're accelerated down a tube at really fast speeds. After that, the oxygen atoms enter into a large curved magnet. And as the oxygen atoms travel around the curve, the magnet separates them by their different masses. At the end, we have a separate collector for each isotope, so we can count the amount of each isotope in the sample. Knowing how many of each isotope are present in the organic molecules can help us determine how they are formed in space. My specific research focuses on how organic molecules are formed in space, so we can better understand whether these molecules contributed to the origin of life on Earth. But if the first organic molecules for life came from space, then wouldn't life exist on other worlds too? Another fascinating aspect of this research is to explore how life might develop on other planets, both within and outside our own solar system. This will help us determine what signs to look for when we're searching for life on other worlds. I hope you enjoyed our journey across time and space, exploring the possible ways life may have originated. I look forward to further discussing organic molecules, space chemistry, and the origin of life in our Q&A session.